Isn't it funny how it doesn't take very long to feel like you're behind? One unexpected week, an illness, or even a change of plans, and suddenly you're looking around wondering how in the world everything piled up so quickly. And that's exactly where I've been lately. Last week definitely did not go to plan. Between not feeling well and having to go to the urgent care, that completely threw me off for the week. So now I have a lot to catch up on today. But before we get into all that, I need to get these peanut butter cookies in the oven for my husband to take to work today.
I think a lot of us can relate to the fact that it takes a lot less time than we realize to just feel like we're behind. It's kind of amazing. You can spend weeks building good habits, keeping up with the dishes or keeping the laundry under control, maybe cooking your meals at home and picking things up as you go about your day. And you finally get your house to feeling peaceful. And then life throws one unexpected week at you. And suddenly you're standing in your kitchen wondering, how did this happen? I don't think any of us wake up and decide we're going to let things pile up. I know I definitely don't. But this week was one of those weeks. If you watch my last video, you know I wasn't feeling good and I ended up in the urgent care. That definitely was not part of the plan for that weekend.
I know y'all are concerned about me, and I still have not got the results back from the urgent care clinic, but I have been taking some medicine and it has helped a lot. I'm not 100%, but I am feeling much, much better. So thank y'all for all the well wishes and the prayers. They do mean a lot to me. It's definitely not fun when you're the primary caretaker of the home and everybody in it and you're down and out and you know you've got stuff to do, and a lot of times you still just have to get up and do that stuff. So I didn't do much, but I did put on a little bit of clothes and I cooked a little bit and I washed a little dishes. So, but other than that, I really didn't do much of anything the last few days. I was just trying to get me some rest. I've got just a little bit of cookie dough left, and we'll probably use the last bit of this probably for this weekend. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this in the oven so that way we can get started cleaning this house and catching up on some stuff. This is my husband's old lunchbox, and he's had it for years, and it's really just kind of too small for him now. Like, y'all seen me literally stuff this thing full. So I was at the Christian Service Center the other day, just stopping in because I wanted to get out of the house, and they had this lunchbox. It's Ozark Trail for $6, and you can see how much bigger it is than his lunchbox. It even has the part that extends up with the little top part that he can pack, you know, chips and stuff like that in. So we are going to donate this one. So this is the basket I have been keeping up here, and anytime I run into something that we want to declutter out of the house, I just throw it into this little basket. I also got this when I was first shopping, and it's got to be clean, but it's still got plenty of life left in it, and I didn't know it when I bought it, but it is Pioneer Woman, and I bought it to replace this crusty looking old pan. So I don't even think this one is worth donating or giving to anybody, so I'm just going to throw it out in the trash.
And I try to rest as much as I could, but if you're the person who takes care of the home and everybody in it, you know there really isn't a pause button. As much as people tell you to rest, my dogs still need food, the water bowls still need to be filled every day, and someone still has to think about what's going to be cooked for supper. And you know the laundry is going to pile up and those dishes don't stop stacking. And if you have pets like we do, then you know the floor is always going to be collecting pet hair. Even when nobody feels like vacuuming it up. Life just keeps moving on. And I think that's one of the hardest parts, because while you're trying to recover, everything else just keeps waiting on you. And then before you know it, one unexpected week starts to make you question yourself.
She has got where she does not like when the UPS man comes. But he's not even stopping in our house. But I just pulled out my E6000 glue, E600, whatever it's called, to fix my earrings. And unfortunately, it has literally glued the lid on. So I'm just going to put these aside until I can pick up some more glue to fix these. I've got to work in the yard a little bit today, and it is so hot. We even had a day the other day when heat index was 107. So I'm trying not to do too much, just a little bit every day. So I've got to make sure my battery chargers are charged. I think they are, but I don't remember for definite. So I'm just going to put those over here. And I think this one is charged. That one's not. Oh, we forgot to give our dogs heartworm prevention this morning. They get it the first of every month. So I've got to put this somewhere where I can remember it for this afternoon. And these ice cube trays, I'm just going to get rid of them because they're so flimsy. How do people use these? They're so flimsy. I was doing a few of these, and then we actually have the fake, like, reusable ice cubes. I don't like those, so they melt way easy. So I've already bagged those up and put those in the donation bin after I wash them. And I have just been going to the church and getting a bag of ice and just keeping it in our freezer because I can't get a bag of ice from the store because the bags are so big and I don't have enough room. I don't have a lot of events at church anyway, so the ice needs to be used regardless from the ice machine. So I've just been going there and getting a bag of ice every few weeks, and it works great because Ethan doesn't really use ice that often, and I don't use it that often either. And yes, I'm washing clothes before I wash my dishes because I'm procrastinating washing the dishes. Y'all hear noise? There is an 18-wheeler parked right over there, and y'all already know our washer and dryer's on the porch, but I didn't even think 18-wheelers were supposed to come down here, but they're just kind of like parked by the street, so I don't know what he's doing. I think he got out talking to the neighbor. What is it, Patty? Budgie is watching the truck. Hold on, let me show y'all. Okay, I guess I have no choice. I have to wash some dishes. I used to be really good at keeping up with my dishes, and lately, just with everything going on, and now I do YouTube and I'm filming and I'm editing, I'm still trying to get into the swing of things and really get a routine going because I had a routine before this, and now things have kind of been switched up a little bit, so I've got to figure out what flow works for me again. I do miss having a dishwasher. I used to like hair. I've always kind of washed dishes. For a while, we had a small portable countertop dishwasher, and it hooked to the sink. And when we had to redo our faucet because our old faucet was leaking and pouring everywhere underneath, we accidentally threw away the attachment
that was with to attach it, and I spent a long time trying to find the right attachment that would fit my faucet. And I just decided I was not going through that again. So I go the dishwasher way. I want to find another countertop dishwasher or some sort of dishwasher, but I want it to have its own water tank. I don't want it to have to hook up to the faucet. You walk into a room, and instead of seeing everything you've done, all you can see is everything you haven't got to yet. And if you're anything like me, your brain immediately starts saying things like, you should have stayed on top of this, or how did you let it get like this, or now look at how much work you have to do. But this week has reminded me those thoughts aren't actually true. I didn't suddenly become lazy or stop caring about my home. I wasn't wasting away my day. I was simply just trying to get through my week. And I think that's an important difference. Sometimes we aren't behind because we're irresponsible. Sometimes we're behind because life just happens. Sometimes it's sickness or stress, or sometimes you're busy caring for somebody else. And sometimes you just have an unexpected appointment. And maybe you have a week that things just didn't go to plan. And that's just life. Life doesn't ask if it's a convenient time to interrupt your routine. And I think God just laid it on my heart and reminded me about Psalm 23, where it says, He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. And I couldn't help but think, maybe sometimes the most productive thing we can do is simply allow ourselves to rest. Rest isn't laziness. Sometimes it's exactly where the Lord is leading us for a little while, so we can be restored before we get back to the work that's waiting for us. That doesn't mean we stay there forever. It just means we don't have to feel guilty for slowing down when our bodies genuinely need it. And honestly, I think I needed that reminder this week. You know, it's funny. Before I come back to YouTube, I had a really good routine. Then 4 months ago, I decided to jump back into YouTube. And I don't regret it for 1 second, because coming back has been one of the best decisions I've made. I've met so many wonderful people, and I've had conversations I've never expected. This little community has become something I genuinely look forward to every single day. But if I'm being completely honest, I'm still learning how to fit YouTube into the rest of my life. Because YouTube isn't just turning on a camera. It's planning, filming, editing for hours, making thumbnails, writing descriptions, and answering comments. And then you've got to think about the next video. And then on top of that, I'm still trying to be present in my own home. I'm still trying to keep up with the homemaking and take care of our dogs, who all have different personalities and schedules. And just like if I were to go start a new job, I'm still trying to make time for my marriage. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I'm also trying to remember to take care of myself. It's been 4 months, and I still don't think I've completely figured out what this season looks like. Some days I think, okay, I found a routine. Then something changes. A doctor's appointment, an errand, or a video takes twice as long to edit. Or we have 5 dogs, so somebody always needs attention on something. And y'all know my husband got injured last year. So he has days where he's in pretty excruciating pain. And then we have a weekend like this past weekend where I got really ill and had to go to urgent care. So sometimes life just happens. And suddenly I'm over here adjusting all over again. I think that's what this week has been teaching me. Maybe we're not supposed to have every season mastered immediately. Maybe every new season still requires us to build a new routine. Not copy the old one, but sometimes we just have to build a new one. And maybe that takes longer than we like to admit. And sometimes our brain just doesn't work the way it did in a previous season. So we have to find a new routine that works best for who we are now. And I also realized something while standing here looking around my house. My first instinct was to try to do everything, clean every room, wash every load, and organize every cabinet. Basically, try to erase an entire week in one afternoon. But every single time I've done that, I end up exhausted, overwhelmed, and frustrated because nobody catches up on life in one day. It doesn't work that way. I've got to get Ethan some tea made for work. A friend of mine from church put me onto the sweet tea drink mix, and he does not like that. So I've just been making him some regular tea here lately. So Taz has been waiting by the door, and I can tell by the way Barry Allen has looked at me, they want to play with their toys. So I'm going to get their toys off the porch real quick, let them play with that while I am finishing up making Ethan's lunch. Taz. I love the sound of a tea kettle. My husband doesn't like it. Our German Shepherd does not like it. We call her radar ears. They don't like the sound of it. I do. I actually need a new tea kettle though, because this one doesn't always seal right around here. It's old. I thrifted this. I want to say it's originally from Target. It's a Christmas tea kettle. There is a tea kettle that I have my eye on. It is from Mackenzie Childs, and if you know anything about that brand, they're kind of expensive. I did find one on eBay for $130, so eventually I would love to get that. But if y'all are wondering why earlier I showed me going on the porch to get our dog's toys, that's because we deal with resource guarding. So Taz, our oldest, is actually kept away from the other ones during toy time because we had dealt with some issues arising, and just for extra precaution, we keep the toys on the porch. That way they're not resource guarding the spot that the toys are kept in, if that makes any sense. But anyways, homes aren't built in one day. They're cared for every day, and peace isn't created all at once. It's built little by little, one sink of dishes at a time, one load of laundry, one room, and one meal, and sometimes just one decision after another. I think sometimes we think grace means lowering our standards, but I don't think that's what grace is. Grace is simply allowing yourself to be human. Grace says you had a hard week or you needed rest, and now let's just begin again. Not perfectly, just faithfully. And honestly, I needed that reminder because I can be really hard on myself, and maybe you can too. Maybe you've had one of those weeks where nothing went according to plan. Maybe your house feels overwhelming, or your usual routine just disappeared. And maybe life just got lifey. And if that's you, I hope you know you aren't failing. You're just living a real life. And real life has interruptions, it has illnesses, and it has unexpected weeks. And it also has seasons where we're learning how to juggle new responsibilities. That doesn't mean we're moving backwards. It just means we're adjusting. So today, I'm not trying to fix everything. I'm just simply trying to move forward. One room, one task, one choice, and one day at a time. Because I've learned something. Progress doesn't usually happen in giant leaps. Most of the time, it happens quietly. So quietly that you don't even notice it until one day you look around and realize the house feels peaceful again. Your routines start to feel natural again. And your heart feels lighter again. Not because you did everything, but because you kept showing up. even after life knocked you off course a dozen times.
The house isn't completely back to where I want it to be yet, and honestly, that's okay, because sometimes life just throws us off course. This past weekend reminded me that none of us are immune to that, and I'm just glad to be feeling better and easing back into normal life again. I'll see y'all in the next one.